Hello and welcome to the podcast So Casted. I am your host, Tara Lockett. Today we are going to talk about a subject called Capability, Know Your Human Birthright. But before I get into that topic, that subject, I do want to let you know this is the kickoff finale of season 2. We made it to the 13th episode, although today's episode is the 12th episode. If you include the introduction, then that makes 13 total, and that would conclude season 2. And the theme for this year was breaking free and becoming whole. Our goal for So Casted, our mission, is to heal the mind, free the heart, and activate change. And what are we freeing our minds from? We must confront the traumas and the things that hold us back from our ability to process things and to move forward in life. And what are we freeing our hearts from? We are freeing our hearts from the emotional holds that take place in all the pain that we experience as we go through in life. Now, as you recall, in the first season, I covered stories about my life. Those are all based on my true life story. And then this second season, we're covering what the marks look like things like uncover cycles. What does that actually mean? Well, you'd have to listen to the first episode to understand the meaning of that title. But I do wanted to let you know that this is the final episode for season 2. And before I get into the topic, I want to remind you that you can go to the website, which is www.socasted.com. On that website, you'll get the first and the second season podcast episodes, as well as the blog. And on that blog, there's a 1 to 2 minute read. I encourage and motivate you to just keep moving forward in life. And if you don't need any encouragement, share it with a friend who does. And you can check out the titles and see the topics and see if it fits for you. We are a family here at So Casted, and So Casted is interested in building a community of those who are willing and able to break that curse and the cycle in which I like to call the marks of mental slavery. Now, let's get into the consistency of Mr. Great Late Lao Tzu. He is a 5th century ancient BC Chinese philosopher, and I like to call quotes wisdom dots. So we're going to get into the wisdom dot of the day, which is by the Great Late Lao Tzu. And he says, if you aren't afraid of dying, there's nothing you can't achieve. If you aren't afraid of dying, there's nothing you can't achieve. Think about that. A lot of times we fear dying even in the natural, and the truth is that's a guarantee. But we also fear dying when it comes to letting go of the old things to usher in new things into our life. However, it must be done to achieve whatever goals it is that we have to achieve. So if you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. Capability. Know your human birthright. Now, in this particular episode, I am going to break down 3 things to me, myself, and I will provide a name for me, myself, and I. And every one of those have 3 things that I'm breaking down when it comes to the human birthright. Now, they are very simplified, but they are very key and important to me, and which got me where I am today. It is important that we have that willingness to move forward and evolve. Now, we must understand the birthright of history of life. These are T. Love's Human Birthright, History of Life. The first thing is learn your history. When you learn your history, I need to let you in on a secret. Every human that walks the face of the earth will find a lot of ugly in their history. A lot of things that they're not proud of, a lot of things that they wish they were born into another family. Well, just so you know, every family has ugly, and some form of ugly in their family. Let's just put it out there on the table. If you're human, there is a possibility that there is some ugly in your family. And speaking of ugly in your family, we must face our history. In facing our history, what I like to say is we can leave Earth, because there is a possibility that you will die. We can leave Earth in a better way than our development on Earth. In other words, there's things that we learn that we have to learn to unlearn, if that makes sense. And in our development on life, my goal is to leave this earth better than the experiences I had as a child, as a teenager, and all that I drug into my adulthood life. It's important for us to face our history. We must break that cycle. And then facing your history, you get the opportunity to teach your history. And I must tell you, it is a beautiful journey. Had I not went and learned my history, had I not went and faced my history, I wouldn't have had the ability to share history with my great niece, who was doing a report in school. And she called me and asked me questions about our family history. And because I learned family history, and because I faced family history, I had the ability to share and to teach family history. And that became a beautiful journey. Now we're going to get into Miss Royalty's human birthright. And Miss Royalty's human birthright, she has found out, this is myself, strength is a human birthright. We have a human birthright to be strong. We also have a human birthright to be courageous. We have a human birthright to be strong. What is strength? Being strong when you're weak and you don't think you can do it. You have a human birthright to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, and a command, quite frankly, to be strong and to be courageous. But the one that I want to share with you that I like most is having the human birthright to know that God's thoughts toward me are good and not evil. You see, through that development, when we face our history and want to leave Earth better than how we got here through our development, but through our development, somewhere along the line, we were told that God, that he's punishing us for things that happened to us. And that may be true in some cases, but maybe not true in the fact of knowing without a shadow of a doubt that God's thoughts towards you are good and not evil. Think about it. God's thoughts toward the bird, the things that we see as beautiful, is good. God's thoughts toward, the creation of whatever is created. But just know that his thought toward us as humans, it's good. We are the highest form of nature. Now, human involvement, what I've learned is to become a honored curse breaker. It is a honor to be a curse breaker. Now, I didn't always feel that way, nor did I always think that way, because I was one of those why me type of girls. Does something happen? Why is it happening? It was a panic. Why me? Oh, I must be a bad person. No, good things happen. Bad things happen to good people as well. And that's something you need to understand. But here's the thing. When things happen, which I've learned, when they happen, they're happening to teach us something and not to punish us. Tara's human birthright. Now we've got to the I, because I am. And God's thoughts toward us are good. I, Tara's human birthright. We must set goals, and we must have a willing soul. So, having said that, knowing that we have a human birthright to have that willing soul, but we have to have a willing soul to be bold, to be present, and to be excellent in any and everything that we do. That is our human birthright. Now, what I want to talk to you about right now is my goal. I want to put it out there, because setting goals, talking about these things, and this is just for Socasted. It's just not in my personal life. It's just for Socasted. But setting a goal for Socasted is I want to ignite a global movement of mental and emotional healing. Why? Because we as humans, we must understand the importance of healing our minds. We must understand the importance of freeing our hearts. And we must understand the importance and the role that activation plays in doing those things. But here's the thing. For us to conquer those marks of mental slavery, it is important for us to confront the childhood traumas. I know it's difficult. I know it exposes people. I know it puts people out there. But here's the thing. While we're in the process of learning our history, and in the process of facing our history, and in the process of teaching our history, we all have to understand the importance of confronting the things that hold us back. We also have to challenge ourselves, not just say, oh, no, but also say, oh, when it comes to challenging ourselves, because it is key and it is important for our growth and our human evolvement. And so that is the mission of So Casted. Heal minds, free hearts, activate change, confront, challenge, and then break those marks of mental slavery. They are invisible chains that hold us back. It is not normal for the type of abuse that takes place in our world today. That is not normal. That is the actions of those refusing to deal with breaking and facing the history and the cycle. But it is up to us to do that. And this is why I'm sharing what I'm sharing here on So Casted. Capability, the human birthright. Now, please understand that a curse breaker seeks the tools needed to understand exactly what a human birthright is and how to continuously apply it to our everyday challenges. It is key for us to do that. And that is part of breaking that curse, not staying in that position, not saying that, oh, well, this is how my mom was, this is how I am. Let's break the cycle, because the cycle of abuse, physical abuse, spiritual abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and financial abuse are things that truly tear us as humans apart. Now, what I want to do at this point is, because we have gone through uncovered cycles, we've gone through unconscious uncovered, inside looking out, coming out of the cave, not fitting in, breaking the marks of mental slavery, and then our 7 love bug breakdown. Value. It is so important that we value ourselves. And in valuing ourselves, we have the ability to value humanity. When we value humanity, then we value our future humanity. And if you're unsure on how to value yourself, here's a book that I want to recommend. There are 3 books that I will be recommending in the closing of this season. But this book is called Curvy Me Self-Love Journal. This book is a 31-day challenge. You owe it to yourself. It is a 31-day challenge of getting to know who you are yourself, and it's important that we conquer that part so that when we love ourselves, loving others won't be so difficult. And then the second thing is foundation. Inventory the self. Inventory your negative, inventory your positive. Get the correct tools to use to help with those negatives, and then, get the tools needed to tighten up those positives. But keep in mind that time is important in regards to giving yourself that mercy and that forgiveness and that leeway to learn along the way, because you're going to need that. Now, the book that I want to refer to you in regards to building that foundation, it talks about understanding builds a house wisdom establishes it, or it's vice versa. Wisdom builds a how, understanding establishes it. But the most important thing is understanding, which is this next title, is called It's Me, Not You, How I Survived a Toxic Work Environment. And this book is by Dr. Portia R. Jackson, also known as Dr. PJ. Now, in this book, what I have found is it will definitely help you identify what is toxic and what does it look like, because there are several characters in here that you can look at and see and how they play roles in your life. This book is not in a regards for you to read it to get back, but it's in regards for you to read it and know that it's me, not you, and you have that choice to protect your peace and keep going on and build that foundation. Then there's new beginning. In new beginnings, we must adjust and settle in. After we adjust and settle in, we have the ability to set those goals. When we set those goals, it is important for to allow those goals to take its place to manifest. And when it manifests, it will be a beautiful process. Now, the book that I want to refer to you in regards to new beginning is Trust. It is by Ayala Van Zandt, and I've been reading this book. This book is highly recommended because it does help you break down the onion walls of the things that's been built up. You know, when you go through a process of trauma, trusting is somewhat of a difficult process because you're not understanding anything. But this book is breaking it down on how you trust yourself, how you trust God, how you trust others, and then how you trust the processes of life. The rest of the love bugs, hope. Never lose it. Hope provides a sense of life safety. Hope also builds trust. And then there's ethics. Please understand that it is important that we respect each other's ethics. Respect should be at the top of the list, human respect as your ethic. But please understand and accept that other people have different ethics, and that's just who they are, just as who you are. And understand with ethics, they grow as you evolve. They will continue and continue. Even in these books, I've learned other ethics. Then there's our earth angel. Okay, with our earth angel, it is important to know to allow ourselves to trust those who have our best interests at heart. You know, those earth angels are sent in our lives for reasons. And when you allow yourself to trust those who have your best interests at heart, then you have the ability to plant a good seed. So when you become the earth angel to someone else, they will do the same. Also, respect a kind-hearted person. Please don't disrespect nor take their kindness for weakness. And then accept the guidance. Capability. Oh my goodness. We are capable. And capability, because you already have it in you, and you must kill doubt. These are the second thing. You already have it in you. You must kill doubt. But the important thing is keeping joy in your pocket, because you're going to need it along that journey. We have to remember that we are healing the marks of mental slavery. I want to thank you so much for listening. I want to thank my listeners. I want to thank those who are new subscribers. I want to thank those who support Soulcasted. And I want to send a special thank you to Mr. Cronchow, a.k.a. Dead Space Dash, because he is the editor and he has, grinded it out with me on this second season. And I'm very appreciative for his insight and for his help. Please be sure to leave a like, a comment, and to subscribe, as well as share these episodes. It is important that we spread awareness in order for us to get to that mission of healing minds and freeing hearts and activating change. We need to confront, to challenge, and to break. And to do that, we need honesty and we need a willing soul. So that when we do that, we have the capability. And with capability, if you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. And the goal is to achieve it. And with that, we will cast it. So cast it because your mind matters and is the vision of the future.